Hello, Ed Weir again. I've gotten a lot of questions here recently, and I'd like to apologize. I've been working on a project. Check out mygovexpert.com, and you'll see what I've been working on to make it easier for people to navigate the entire government bureaucracy. I've been working on that, so unfortunately, I haven't been answering pretty much any calls or emails or a lot of the comments in YouTube and all the rest of it. I've been trying to make everything a lot more efficient, and it unfortunately has sacrificed over the last month because of it. So I'm going to go through all of the questions, as many as I possibly can, over the next few weeks and answer everybody's question. All right, so here's one. I think this was a YouTube comment. This person has collected disability for about 5 or 6 years, and then went and filed for retirement benefits, and was surprised to find out that the benefits are going to be reduced. Um, I think they're I think there's just a misunderstanding here. When you file for disability, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're, 50 years old and you file for disability, basically the benefit amount is as if you had filed at your full retirement age. One of the problems is when you get that yearly statement, or most importantly, go on to SSA.gov and you see, oh, okay, if I'm 10 years away from retirement, and at my full retirement age, I'll get, $2,500. That is a projection based on essentially your most recent earnings that Social Security Administration got through the IRS. And it's basically saying, okay, if you continue to work how much you have been working recently for the next 10 years, this is how much your benefit's going to be, $2,500 or so. But if you quit working immediately, that's going to be 10 years of zeros there. So your benefit amount is not going to be 2,500 then. So, so I think the issue here is with this particular individual is that they said they retired at 63 years old. So not exactly sure when this was. If their full retirement, let's say their full retirement age was 67 years old, that means they've got a 4 year essentially reduction from their full retirement age. So not sure why they switched from disability. You can stay on disability forever, except when you do reach your full retirement age, your check and everything stays the same. You still get Medicare. It's just that if you're on disability and you reach your full retirement age, they switch your money from disability to retirement. It's the same check and everything like that. It's a political bureaucratic thing where they stop taking your money out of the disability trust fund and they start taking out of the retirement trust fund. So I think that's the issue on this one. Um, Again, I could be wrong on I 5 or 6 years reduction. I don't think that's correct. So in this particular case, I think I'm correct. Again, I don't know all the details, but I think I'm correct in the sense that because they filed a few years early, that's why it was reduced, not because they had received disability before. But if you're still unsure of that, then you ask the Social Security Administration to look at that again. And all you have to do is file a SSA 561, which is a request for reconsideration, and say, hey, I disagree with your decision. I don't believe my benefit amount should have been reduced because I received disability for 4 or 5 years. And I'm sure there's a 99.99% chance they'll come back and say, it's not because of your disability, it's because you filed early. So that's that question. Here's the next question. Actually, it's a comment. When my husband worked, and a friend that was a CPA told my husband when he worked to pay maximum Social Security out of his checks. Good. I like it. And thank goodness he did. He got very sick from Addison's disease and rheumatoid arthritis, and he had to go on disability. Everyone working should pay in maximum SSA to receive maximum SS, Social Security. No one can survive on $700 a month. Yeah, so the $700 or $800, $900 or so, that's SSI, Supplemental Security Income, which is what she's referring to, and that's the welfare-based program that Social Security Administration administers. So SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, is insurance, disability-related insurance. Again, working with Social Security Administration for a few decades, helping millions of people out. Cautionary tale here: we hate taxes. Everybody hates paying in taxes, and everybody, especially young. I'm a former Marine. 20 years old, 25 years old. You think you're going to live forever, and you never need it, and you never plan. But as I like to say, life is what happens while you're making other plans. So you never know what's going to happen. So if you've got a few $1,000,000 sitting around in the bank account, then, I'm sure a CPA will show you all kinds of interesting ways to get out of paying taxes, including Social Security taxes and, offshore, whatever the case may be. But for us normal people, Social Security disability, people say, well, retirement's 40 years from now. Who cares? It's not an issue. But disability could be tomorrow. You never know. I could go on thousands of stories. Any Social Security employee could tell you thousands of stories about stuff that happened to people. One that comes to mind is I had this one lady. She she worked pretty high up in a corporation. She was making very good money, and her life was all set and it was beautiful, and she was planning on the future, and then life happens. One weekend, she decided to redecorate or rearrange her bedroom, and she grabbed one of her nightstands to move it over a little bit, and that was it. That changed her life. I guess she turned wrong or whatever the case may be, and it just messed up her back, just threw out her back, and had to get surgeries, and she couldn't sit down, she couldn't do her job anymore, and her life was, not saying over, but she has a completely different life than what she did before. And you never know what's going to happen. So she was very dependent on the disability coming in, the disability benefits. And luckily, she was approved. I took her claim, sent it up. It was approved. It came back. Took obviously longer than anybody wanted, but it is what it is. So, this is a decision you'll have to make. A lot of self-employed people. I did a video on, self-employed, and a lot of self-employed people, tried to, they set up an LLC and don't pay them as much. And, so they don't have to pay the FICA taxes, and sure, they're making a couple of bucks. But what I've found, seeing the end result of all those decisions, when they came into my office, when they're, 62, 64, 65 years old, and they look back and they say, yeah, I made a few $1,000s extra, that year, 20 years ago, because I was self-employed and I had a CPA that, manipulated the numbers and, did this and did that. And so I didn't pay any. And now my Social Security check is going to be, $1,200. How can I live on that? The extra $2,000 or $3,000 they, put in their pocket 20 years ago, they, just went out and bought a new car and blew it. So yeah, so that's a decision you'll have to make. But I'm glad that in this particular case, the Social Security disability, and that person got the max benefits, and when they reach 65, they'll get Medicare, which they paid for as well. So again, it's not a perfect system, but it's a good base to start it. All right, let's go on to the next question. All right, interesting. At our local Social Security office yesterday, the advisor stated that the DRC's delayed retirement credit. So those are the delayed retirement credits you get after your full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is 67 years old, if you do not get your benefits at 67 and you wait till 70, then you'll have 3 years of delayed retirement credit. So it'll increase your benefit amount for the rest of your life. And they said that those were not added to survivor benefits ever, that the surviving spouse will receive only the PIA, the primary insurance amount. That's how much The primary insurance amount is the amount that person would receive at the full retirement age. So if it's $2,000 at full retirement age and they get DRCs, it'll be several $100 or thousand more. Um, so he stated that my surviving spouse would be reduced to the PIA, even though my husband has 28 months of DRCs. I was surprised, as I always thought, as you presented, that the DRCs were included in spousal survivor benefits. And then if surviving spouse waited until full retirement age, assuming an age difference, the surviving spouse will get the exact benefit amount the C spouse is receiving. She's receiving her own record at 62. How does the dress inconsistent or bad advice get my social security? So probably one of the issues is when you go into a social security office or call the social security office, you're getting what's called a CSR claim, customer service representative, and they are the hardest working, the lowest paid employees in social security. I was the supervisor of a CSR unit. They used to call them service representatives. They changed the name anyway. Yeah, they are extremely knowledgeable. My team was extremely knowledgeable, extremely professional, awesome, very caring, but crazily, unbelievably overworked. It's just we had 1,000, 2,000 people coming in every single day, so it was crazy. But they have so many things they have to address. So what you need to do is get beyond that front window with the CSR, the customer service representative, and you need to talk to a claim specialist. So I'm thinking what happened here is you talk to a customer service representatives, the frontline personnel, and what you needed to do is actually talk to the claim specialists. And hopefully it's not a new claim specialist. Social Security is hiring a lot of people. So unfortunately, there's, it takes a couple of years to be trained at all things Social Security. But if you're getting a very good claim specialist, they will tell you that um, DRCs go to surviving. They don't go to spouses. So if your husband is retires, does a delayed retirement, and he's still alive, and you collect benefits, you don't get it then. You only get DRCs, delayed retirement credits, as a surviving spouse. So unfortunately, I think, yeah, that particular person gave you the wrong information. And as you saw on one of my other videos, again, make sure you go to my website, mygovexpert.com, and click on the little link to set up a playlist. So you will get a playlist based on the questions you answer. I'll ask you a few questions, you answer those, and it'll give you a playlist of videos that you should watch for your particular case. So if you there's one video I've done in there, and it's basically protective filing. So not sure when you went into the office, but it doesn't really matter actually. If you went in the office 6 months ago and they give you incorrect information, go into the office tomorrow and say, hey, I want to take a claim. See, the thing is, the CSRs, they give the information at the front, but say you actually want to file a claim, then they have to put you on the board or maybe set you an appointment or whatever the case may be, have you wait, and then you can actually see a claim specialist. And then the claim specialist will put you in the system and actually take a claim. And if that time, for whatever reason, the benefit amount from your husband is not what you think it is, then you just tell them, okay, well, never mind. I'm good with whatever benefits I have. But in terms of protective filing, you go in there and say, I want to file a surviving spouse claim. So I'd like to speak to a claim specialist. You wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And then you finally see a claim specialist. They take the claim and hopefully they give you the correct information. They say, oh, yeah, you'll get the DRCs and it'll be an extra, 100, 200, 300, 400, $500 a month, whatever the case may be. And then you say, wait, I came in here 6 months ago, and you can tell by the check-in system, it's called Viper or Vipper, depending on which office you're talking about, that I was here 6 months ago. And I asked that specific question. I was given the wrong information, and the claim specialist, well, yes, you were. Okay, I'll give you 6 months. retro benefits, back pay. But then you have to be careful. It's like, okay, I get 6 months more, but because it's going to be 6 months early, perhaps, but in your case, I think you're full retirement age. But if you're not for retirement, but just get the numbers and say, depending on how old you are, if it's 6 months ago and they say, well, yeah, if you get it 6 months back, it's going to be reduced, $20, $30 a month, but you get 6 months of benefits. But if it's not reduced, go for it and get that extra 6 months. So apologize for the looks like misinformation there. Yeah, but go in there, get it rectified, and get your money, and then comment below and let us know what happened. All right, next question. All right, let's see here. Aloha, Dr. Weir. Mahalo. I was stationed at Camp Smith, Hawaii when I was in the Marine Corps in Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station up there. So for 4 years. I went from Okinawa, Japan, small islands for 4 years, and then I was transferred to Hawaii. Lived there. I was in the Marine Corps for 3 years and got out, went to the University of Hawaii. So I went from island to island. And so anyway, if you suspend your benefits after claiming them before full retirement age, you must pay them back. If you just suspend your benefits, so a lot of people don't realize if let's say you're 63 years old and you decide to take an early retirement, and because you're tired of work, and you're 63 years old and you start receiving your benefits, and then a few months later, because there's obviously an annual earnings test. You have to stay under, it's about 22,000 and some change or so. As long as you're under that, you can collect your benefits. If you go over, they hold back $1 for every $2 you go over that benefit amount. So if you're going to be making $10, $20, $30,000 over, and that's what you're going to get, then you can suspend your benefits. Call into a work report and say, hey, I retired early, but it looks like I got this great job and I got bored, so I'm going to go back to work. And then they'll suspend your benefits so you don't get overpaid. You don't want to get overpaid. If you want to completely withdraw and say, you know what, I want to pretend like I never did it, you can do it. As she points out, it's basically within a year. There's tons of exceptions, protective filing and all that stuff I've talked about before. But yeah, if you file and then however many months later, usually within a year, you decide, you know what, I want to pretend like I never did it. So you withdraw your application, but you have to pay all that money back. Right? You can do that, and it's like it never happened. So when you do reach your full retirement age, you can do your delayed retirement credits, earn your delayed retirement credits, and all the rest of it. Benefits can be suspended at FRA, begin early. So she asked, benefits can be suspended at FRA, begin earning DRCs, and do not have to be paid back. I don't think they've changed the law on that, because once you take your benefits early, you can no longer get delayed retirement credits. So you can withdraw your application. Again, it'll be like it's never happened. And then you can start collecting DRCs. But just suspending, yeah, you have to, your initial application has to be after your full retirement age to be eligible for those delayed retirement credits. Number two, application for withdrawal can only be done within a year of the claim in case of the letter that benefits must be paid back. Yes. So yes, it just addressed that. Yeah. So there are your options. Again, depending on when you actually filed, if you want to suspend because of work, just go ahead and do that. If you're just over a little bit, so like let's say for instance, if the annual earnings limit is $22,000 and you're going to make $23,000 and they're going to hold $500 back. And it's like, well, that's not too bad. If they don't withhold 500. So if your monthly benefit amount is $1,000, they won't hold 500 and give you 1,000 or give you the other 500. They withhold the whole check. But in this particular case, once the IRS tells the Social Security Administration how much you made last year, and last year you made, again, $23,000, $1,000 over, then Social Security will send you a nice little letter that says, hey, you owe us $500. So you can just pay it at that time if you don't want to go through the whole rigmarole of starting and stopping, because Social Security, sometimes they mess up that whole starting and stopping. So Get that $500, put it in the bank. When Social Security sends you that nasty gram that says you owe us $500, just cut them a check for $500. So there's that. And if it turns out you just don't have $500 when it comes around, then watch my other video and on overpayments, how to address overpayments. So there's that question answered. Next question. Served 4 years in the military. Thank you for your service. 84 to 88. I heard that YouTube and other channel that 4 years in the military can get you extra Social Security benefits from military service. Yes, but it really depends on the particular years. I was also in the military in the 80s there, and yeah, no extra benefits for the 80s. It's usually in the early 70s or so, late 60s, early 70s, depending on the situation. What it was is, in those times, even Congress didn't pay it into FICA. They had their separate civil service system. Now they do. Since the 1980s, everybody pays into Social Security. But Congress decided later on that that wasn't fair to veterans that served during that time frame, so they give it a little bit extra. So all you have to do is call Social Security Administration, call the 800 number, 1-800-772-1213, and say, hey, when I filed for retirement or survivor or disability, not survivor, retirement or disability benefits, did you include my military service? And they'll tell you and whether it's needed. If it will increase your benefit amount, even $1 or $2, hey, a buck's a buck is a buck. Then all you have to do is provide your DD 214. But in your particular case, I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, most positive, it's not going to increase it because you did pay into FICA during those particular years, as I did pay into FICA, unless you were, some special forces or something. I don't know. I think every branch and unit paid into FICA, so I don't think there's any extra money there. All right, thanks for the question, though. Sorry for the delay getting back to you. All right, I have ulcerative colitis for 19 years. This comment, it's not me that I'm reading the comment here. The doctor recommends that I do a colonoscopy every 2 years to check for cancer. When I get flares, I can't work because of the constant pain. I have to go to work for survive. Is ulcerative colitis chronic a disability? Yeah, it could very well be a disability. I think it's not an American case, but the Prime Minister of Japan had ulcerative colitis, and he stopped being the Prime Minister of Japan because of it, because he couldn't function. So it is definitely a disability. Depending, obviously, there's many levels of UC. So it really depends. But if it interferes with your work, that is what disability for Social Security is. That you have a disability that's going to last for 12 months or longer, and UC obviously counts, and that you're unable to work because of it. So if you can prove that you're unable to work because of your UC, then Social Security should determine you are disabled. And you can, again, watch my video on how to file for disability and when, and get all your documentation together. And also watch the ones. Just basically go to my website, MyGov Expert, and do set up a playlist, and it'll tell you all the, how to do it and whether you need a lawyer and all the rest of it. Watch those videos. Okay. All right. Next question. All right. If I start early but start in January, does the yearly limit amount apply to the monthly? So basically, you're talking about early retirement. So if you are going to start your benefits, let's say in July, the yearly start, the first year there, it's a monthly. So starting July, as long as you're under the monthly, it doesn't matter from January until June or the first month of January, whatever the case may be. Before you actually start your benefits, it doesn't matter. You can make $1 billion a month before you start receiving your Social Security benefits. So if you can make $1 billion in January, $1 billion in February, if you're making $1 billion, call me. Hey, but it doesn't matter. The sky's the limit. But once you start receiving your Social Security benefits, that's when the annual earnings test starts. So if it's, let's say, just make it easy, $24,000 a year, let's say your annual earnings limit. So that's $2,000 a month. So the first month you go under $2,000 a month is when you can start collecting Social Security benefits, and without, you know, having to pay, $1 for every $2 you go over. But what you do before that time doesn't matter whatsoever. What the problem is Social Security employees, particularly a lot of new Social Security employees, don't know how to code that in the system. So if you make a whole bunch of money before you file for benefits, like in February or July or August or whatever the case may be, and then the following year you get a nasty grant that says, "Hey, you made too much," and then what the problem is that a Social Security employee forgot or didn't know how to code it in the system directly to forget about all the earnings before that. So all you have to do is, show them your W-2 or whatever the case may be and say, "Oh yeah, I made $1 billion from, January until, June, but starting in July, I stopped work. It was under $2,000." And, they'll just delete that overpayment and say, "Sorry." And that's it. Easy, easy fix. Annoying, but easy fix. Next question. All right, just turned 66 last month. I still have 6 months before FRA. Can I file for spousal benefits since my husband already receiving his own benefits at his FRA? You have to file on your own first. They changed the laws many years ago. Before you could do that, and there was a file and suspend and all this other kind of stuff. But Social Security did away with all those interesting strategies to uh, file and everything. But yeah, it sounds like he's still alive. Great. So you have to file for your own benefits, and if his benefit is twice as much as yours, the primary insurance amount, not based on any delayed retirement credits or anything like that, then yeah. So you have to file on yours, and if yours is $1,000 and his is $2,400, then you'll receive your thousand, and you'll receive a couple of $100 more on his because you can get up to 50%. So I minus a little bit because you're full retirement age yet. And then survivor benefits, that's wholly different. You can get delayed retirement credits through survivor benefits, and those all automatic. If you're currently, if you're receiving benefits on his record, if something should happen to him, you don't have to do anything. Everything is automatic. You automatically get switched to survivor benefits, and you get that awesome $255 lump sum death payment. So sorry for the delay in answering your questions, but there it is.